Hey Guru Nation, welcome back. Thank you so much for watching. Katie, people have been wanting like practical stuff. They're like, hey Dan, we love that you're motivating us. We love it, but we need practical right now. That's what matters. So I was going to do one on a few things, like closeout visit. We just did a closeout visit today. It was very easy though, so I'm not going to do, there's nothing really to discuss. We had an investigator meeting, which was virtual, which you attended. Tomorrow you'll attend instead of my in my stead. So we're back to the basics with Katie of what we're going to discuss. So basically, we came up with pre-screening because it's something you've been doing a lot of lately. We have a brand new study for the investigator meeting. Did you know, Katie? I know you know, but Guru Nation, this is a humble brag. We would have been the first screening in the world on this study.
Yep.
But we're too by the book. We said, no, this patient doesn't qualify. We can't do it. And then the other one, we had a no-show. Our first no-show in UMA clinical trial history. So, we still have chance now to be first screening in the United States, no longer in the world. Yep. So Katie's been, for the last few days, pre-screening patients for this study. And what have you learned about that? A lot of coordinators, or a lot of people like that are going to be coordinators, or maybe soon to be coordinators, they don't know what pre-screening is. So how do you even start with a new study, just like you have done? So let's hear from you.
So first off, you have to go through the protocol and pretty much just focus on the inclusions and exclusions. Right now, I've been focusing more on the inclusions because they're very specific on this study of what is allowed and who can qualify. So pretty much, I've just been going in our database of patients and stuff at the clinic and going through the specific inclusions that we need for them to even qualify possibly. And then after that, I'll go through the exclusions, but the exclusions aren't too bad. For this specific study, they just want insulin naive. So you just go through their medical records, see if they've taken insulin, or if they have. We have like a leeway period of like 15 days. So they could have taken it for 15 days within a year before screening, but still have to be like naive to it. But other than that, you just make sure.
Okay, but how do you start? Because we have access to the private practice records here, but it's not really separated by any diagnosis. So where do you start? Like, you're literally starting in an ocean of data. Like, what do you do?
So first, I started with a provider here at the clinic then. And then from there, you go through the specific providers, patients, and you look for specifically what the study is over. So we're doing type 2 diabetes. I look at everyone who has type 2 diabetes. And then from there, I look at their lab work. Right now I'm looking at A1C and GFR to see if they qualify within the ranges that they gave us for those specific things. And then from there, we pretty much ask the provider questions a little bit on the patient to see if they'd be like a good candidate or something. And then we go ahead and call the patient, see if they're interested, and then from there we can get them in for screening if they are.
So how does that work with calling the patient? What have you discovered? Most of them are curious? Or first of all, do most of them even answer the call?
Majority of them do, actually. We have a lot of older patients, so they like phone calls rather than text messages, because we can text them too. That works for a lot of the younger patients that we have, but here we have a lot of older patients. Generally, they do answer the phone, depending kind of on what time of the day you call them. Like, if you call early mornings to afternoons, that's like best time for us that we found. And most of the time they are interested. They kind of just want to know a little bit more about it.
So how much of the study, because it's a new study, so how much of the study or the science, this is going to lead to how we conclude this with the Skillset needed for a coordinator.
Yeah.
But how much of the actual science do you need to know, you personally? Obviously, the longer you do a study, the more you learn.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a cool thing about this job. It forces you to learn things. But, like, when you're just starting out, like, you know, what do you know? Like, how much of the science and the protocol do you actually have to know to get them to come in for a screening?
I would say for me, you don't really have to know too much of like the science behind it, because the people you're calling already have said disease or illness or whatever you're trying to study, so they already know kind of what you're talking about if you just tell them exactly what the study's over. It is good to know a little bit about the drugs that you use. I would just go more in depth and detail of like what specifically they do to the body, what I guess how they perform. Usually the protocol will give you a small description of the drug, and so if you just read that, it'll pretty much tell you everything you need to know about it.
And then last thing, so a lot of people watching, they're debating coordinator. You were debating coordinator at one point. You just applied through Indeed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but so you now that you've been a coordinator for 6 months, right?
Just about since June.
What's a good skill set? Because it's very versatile. So you have to be detail oriented.
Yeah.
But you also have to be kind of persuasive.
Yeah.
When talking to patients. You also have to be an encourager when they don't feel like doing certain things, but you need it for the protocol. You also have to work with vendors. You also have to work with providers. Like, there's a lot you have to do. I think it's a unique skill set, but for somebody who's relatively new in this space, that's going to be a physical therapist. At least that's still the plan, right?
Yeah.
What kind of, is this like a unique skill set required for this job? Or is it typical of other jobs?
I think it's unique as to there's just a lot that goes into it. Like, not only do you have to be detail oriented, you have to be able to talk to people. Also, like you said, like encourage people, be a little bit persuasive. You have to be a people person as you're working with subjects every single day. I would say some type of skill of like a science background does help. I'm not like a medical background person. I'm an exercise science background, so I kind of brought that with me, and so I kind of knew a little bit more of like the basic vitals and stuff like that we do at like all the time for each visit. I don't think you have to be super in depth in like the medical field to be a coordinator, but it does help a lot. Just because for me specifically, I have to look up a lot of the medications because I'm not very keen on those and don't know a lot, but
that's why it forces you to learn.
Exactly. So I have gotten a lot better with medications, and you kind of see a trend in a lot of I guess age groups and stuff. Like, we work primarily with older people, so you see a lot of the medications, and then you see them every day, and you're like, okay, this is totally fine. Like, you're good.
Okay. And then last thing, so do you like being a coordinator?
Yes, I do like being a coordinator very much.
Is the industry a lot bigger than you thought?
Yes, there's a lot more into it than I realized.
Good. So anyone out there watching, this is Katie. She's on LinkedIn now. You can put your LinkedIn underneath.
You could. I'll send it to you.
Get some followers. And if you're thinking about it, look, she just did college grad, now being a coordinator, soon to be physical therapist. And then you've seen Desiree. It's a unique industry where you can be a CNA, you could be at college, you can have a bachelor's, you can have a master's, you could have higher than a master's. And basically the career trajectories could be similar for all those people. The degrees help a little bit as far as speed, but the career trajectory, really, it's experience that matters. So thank you, Katie. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Catch you guys later. Bye bye. Go follow Katie. Bye bye.